Good evening, it's 6:15 and I will call the special meeting of the Cedar Springs Public School Board to order, and it is May 19th. And if you would rise with me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And if we can have a roll call, please, and we do have Vice President Schaffner out for work engagement.
Okay, Trustee Bowser.
Here.
Trustee Patton. Here. Trustee Lund.
Here.
Treasurer Gilmore. Absent.
No.
Secretary Slager here. Vice President Schaffner absent. President Reed.
Here. Thank you, and we've established a quorum for tonight's meeting. We move on to the agenda to the adoption of the agenda, and I would entertain a motion.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? Having none, Secretary Slager,
Yes.
Trustee Lund,
Yes.
Trustee Patton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowser,
Yes.
President Reed, yes, motion carries. Next is our consent items, and I would entertain a motion for as presented.
So moved. Support.
Secretary Slager,
Yes.
Trustee Lund,
Yes.
Trustee Patton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowser,
Yes.
President Reed, yes, motion carries. That brings us to closed session for this evening, and I would entertain a motion that pursuant to Open Meeting Act Section 8B for student discipline, we would move into closed session.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? Having none, Secretary Slager,
Yes.
Trustee Lund,
Yes.
Trustee Patton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowser,
Yes.
President Reed, yes, and let the minutes show at 6:18, we're moving into closed session.
Yeah.
The minutes can show that we're going back into open session at 6:37. Moving on to our discussion items for this evening, we have Kent ISD biennial school board election discussion that's on for action tonight.
So this item we've seen, this is the third time you've seen it. The first was just for information, and the second time, they went through I provided information regarding the two candidates. They're both incumbents running for 2 seats. And so what the board is being asked to do, our board and other boards throughout the county, is just to take the vote, a position statement on the 2 individuals who are taking these 2 offices.
So we have a resolution, so we have to sign somebody to cast the vote for them.
We would, yes, and Matt had initially indicated that he was interested, and someone from that side of the room was interested in being the second. Jason saying not it. No, I too can be the second in case Matt can't go.
When is it?
It's,
June
June 2nd.
yes.
I can be Dr. Baldwin.
Okay,
No. All right, any more discussion or thoughts on that? Okay, we'll move on to the Kent ISD 2025-26 budget with Matt. Also on for action this evening.
As we discussed last Monday, this is an annual, something the ISD has to present to each local board of ed annually. My recommendation, is to approve as presented, or it would be for the board to approve. We have 2, resolutions that have been drafted, one for in support and one, not in support. But my recommendation would be for the board to support the 25-26 Kent ISD, initial budget.
Okay. Any questions? Ready. We'll move on to the beach asbestos abatement bid recommendation, which we are hearing about, and for time constraints, we also have this on for action.
Anything?
sure.
Yeah, so this is for the final demolition portion of beach. They will be starting the asbestos abatement, essentially, once kids walk out the door, they will start abating, have a pretty tight window for it, so that there's about a 5-day window, and then once they're done abating, they will start demoing the building. So then, once the building is gone, they can start doing the parking lot, bus loop, and all the hardscaping and landscaping. We did receive 3 bids for this project, but unfortunately, 2 of the 3 did not meet the bid specifications. One, they did not submit all the required bid documents. The other, they submitted everything, but they were proposing a different timeline for the work. They wanted to push it further out into June, and also do some of the work as the other portion of the building was being demoed. So the combo of those 2 aspects, of pushing it out and them wanting to be in the building as it was being demoed, we did not feel it was not an acceptable bid. So based on that, our recommendation would be going with the bid from Abatement and Demolition Services LLC. Total bid is $79,521. This is not a vendor or contractor that we've worked with in the past that I'm aware of, but the Northern Analytical Services, who's kind of the abatement architect. His company has worked with this contractor in the past, and he would have no hesitation working with them on this project.
And they did conduct an interview, post-bid interview, so the representative from Northern Analytic Services is confident that the abatement and demolition services of the LLC is fully aware of the scope of the work. And will be able to move into the business. Again, we're not anticipating any hot zones, but it's one of those things you just don't really know until you get in there.
Yeah.
Well, there are hot zones. It's non-friable.
Yeah, not friable.
So there's friable and non-friable. The friable is a little more complicated as far as the removal. We don't, based on the demo of the 4 classrooms that we've already done, there was no friable materials. So it was a pretty straightforward demolition abatement.
Time sensitive. We don't have tonight, we're holding up these documents.
Correct.
Any question?
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Was this part of the original bond approval when you guys did the initial approval? Was this already in that projection or is this?
It was included in the budget, but it wasn't part of the contracts that were awarded with the original beach edition.
And the original number for the budget was north of
$200,000.
$200,000. So we're under budget, which is good.
All right, we'll see that on for action in a bit. Thank you. And then moving on to a little different topic, the beach dishwasher bids, and also on for action tonight.
Yeah, so part of what we've already purchased with the beach project is a kind of changing some of the flow within the kitchen space at Beach Elementary. As we were doing that work, so we've already approved some of the serving lines, and that's been bid out. The board has approved that. One thing that Holly requested and asked that we take a look at is putting in a commercial automated dishwashing system. Right now, it's a dishwashing several sinks, and it's a manual process. That kitchen is pretty space limited, so we are limited in the number of food service staff members that we can actually have working in there. So she felt that by doing the commercial dishwasher, that would free up the staff members that we can fit in there to do other tasks, because we are serving quite a few more meals now that we have the universal free breakfast and lunch. So, you know, at first when she said a dishwasher, I said, oh, that's not gonna be all that expensive. But it's not a dishwasher that we have in our homes. It's a commercial dishwasher and tables and it also requires a hood. So we received 3 bids for these dishwasher and accessories. The low bid was merchandise, equipment and supplies, but they did not include any install costs. So when I reached out to them to confirm, is this a accurate bid? She said, that there should be a number there, and she asked to withdraw her bid. So based on that, we had 2 qualified bids, and our recommendation would be to engage with Stafford Smith for the total price of, well, before I get to that, the remaining 2 bids, they both had language in their bid package, basically saying, this is the price now, but we cannot guarantee that that price does not increase based on potential tariff or import taxes. So both of our remaining bids were kind of a, you know, if price goes up, we will pass that along to the customer. So based on that, my recommendation to the board would be to award the contract to Stafford Smith for the quoted price of $37,855. But then also build in the owner's contingency of $14,500, which would allow for any potential price fluctuations related to tariffs / import duties. So the total project cost would be $52,000. Total potential project cost would be up to $52,355. Yes.
And the number, the $14,500 was an estimate.
Just an
Not
estimate.
even, you know, if the price of the equipment increases by 50% based on tariffs, then the equipment price would go from 29,000 up to, you know, almost 50,000. Or no, so sorry, 45,000.
And with the owner's contingency, this total project cost is still less than the 3rd bid, the highest bid that we received.
And just for clarification, this is coming out of the food service budget,
Correct, this
which
was,
we have requirements
The-
to spend down.
correct, this would count towards our excess cost requirement, saying that, you know, we can only carry that 9 months of, 3 months of your annual food service expenditures. So this would help us draw down that food service fund balance. And it is allowable expense, excess cost expense.
We're not taking anybody's job, are we? Like,
No,
installing commercial dishwasher.
nope. And again, this is one that we have for action, because they will need to order it so that we can have it in place and installed in August.
For beginning of school.
For the beginning of school.
Any other wonders? All right. Moving on. We have the 25-26 handbook revision proposal. We have it on for action this evening.
Yeah, so last week we had the opportunity to review, or you had the opportunity to review the handbooks. Once again, Matt brought up a couple questions in regard to some formatting of the high school handbook, as well as the inclusion of some images regarding technology, and then also regarding the dress code. I met with the high school team and just inquired about the why behind the images. Because to be honest, as I looked at them, I was a little bit confused as well. And what we're recommending for the board to do is to approve the handbooks with the images removed. So we won't add those images. It just felt like it was a little bit clunky The images for the technology were all Apple products. And so there was some question, well, what if I had a flip phone? What if I had? So it just, the language is clear. I don't, from our discussion, I don't think more students will better understand, nor will they better comply with the language if we had a picture. So our recommendation is to pull those images out. And I noted so with a big red X for the images in your copy.
Okay, on to action. Your noticings. Okay. All right, we will move forward then to public comment portion of our meeting. This is Gus. Do we have anyone wishing to address the board that's turned down for?
No, I do not.
The public comment has been opened and closed for anyone's time to present to the board for their 3 minutes. We have no one. So we will move on to our action items for this evening. And first up, action item, we have our closed session item 242504 for student discipline. And I would entertain a motion for the suspension beginning May 6th through the remainder of the school year. Discussion?
I think it was evident there were certainly other issues that need to be addressed, but for the purpose of closed session, our determination for this evening, I think that was also clear, but I just would want to go on record saying I hope there is further follow-up with some of the other things that were shared.
Great, thank you. All right, I'll call for the vote. Secretary Slager?
Yes.
Trustee Lund?
Yes.
Trustee Patton?
Yes.
Trustee Bowser?
Yes.
President Reed? Yes, motion carries. Brings us to action item B, the Kent ISD biennial school board election. And I would entertain a motion for the resolution with Matt and then Missy as the alternate presenting on June 3rd.
Support.
Any discussion? This wants to go ahead and see his face. Okay. Secretary Slager,
Yes.
Trustee Lund,
No.
Trustee Patton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowser,
Yes.
President Reed, yes, motion carries. Action item C, the Kent ISD 2025-26 budget. I would entertain a motion in support as was presented.
Support.
Any discussion? None. Secretary Slager,
Yes.
Trustee Lund,
No.
Trustee Patton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowser,
Yes.
President Reed, yes, motion carries. Brings us to the beach asbestos abatement bid. I would entertain a motion for abatement and demolition services in the amount of $79,521 as was presented prior and discussed. Check my numbers, please.
I will make a motion as presented for $79,521 to abatement of demolition services.
Discussion?
Can I ask one more question?
Discussion? Yeah.
Is there any asbestos harm to the students that are currently in that building?
So, to our knowledge, no. Asbestos isn't harmful as long as it's contained. We would have no reason to be concerned about asbestos there. Than we would in any of our other buildings. You know, Red Hawk, they found, when we had early childhood students here, they did run into some, was it friable asbestos when they, or they suspected maybe that there was some, yeah, it was caulk. So it wasn't airborne, but still because they found it, we didn't have students in the building while they completed that work, just to be aligned with protocol. But the realities are in older buildings, the stack spaces everywhere. But as long as it's contained in the materials, in the blue, floor tiles, whatever, it's deemed safe.
We had a motion, we had a second, we discussed, so call for the vote. Secretary Slager.
Yes.
Trustee Lund.
Yes.
Trustee Patton.
Yes.
Trustee Bowser.
Yes.
President Reed. Yes, motion carries. Next is our beach dishwasher bid, and we've been requested to approve Stafford Smith in the amount of $37,855 with an owner, set aside of $14,500 for the total amount possibly to be spent of $52,355.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? Having none, Secretary Slager,
Yes.
Trustee Lund,
Yes.
Trustee Patton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowser,
Yes.
President Reed, yes, motion carries. Next action item for this evening is the 25-26 handbook revision proposals. We've seen multiple times and they're up for action now, and I would entertain a motion for as presented.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? Call for the vote. Secretary Slager,
Yes.
Trustee Lund.
Yes.
Trustee Patton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowser,
Yes.
President Reed, yes, motion carries. And that brings us to the end of our meeting, and we have graduation Thursday night. And we're gonna meet in these front rooms here at 6 o'clock-ish. Now we all go out together, and our next meeting's in June 9th and June 29th. So with that, at 6:56, we'll stay adjourned, and this meeting will. I go over to honor.
Thank you, everyone.